All right. I think we are live. Yay, we did it again. 2 days, 2 sessions in a row, Jolene. My goodness, this is a
Awesome.
great way to
Awesome.
start. All right, so good morning, everybody. So this is At Home with Tanya and Jolene again. And today we are talking to Brad Howe. And I'm going to let Jolene kick it off today in terms of introducing Brad.
Hi, everyone. Happy Thursday. So Brad, thank you so much for being here. So I want to just tell you guys a little bit. Brad is a CPA, a local CPA in our area. And Tanya and I were kind of talking about like thinking of who we thought would be important to bring to, to everybody that could help them in this time. So Brad works a lot with small businesses as well as individuals. So I think it can cover kind of two different aspects and two different audiences. So hopefully you guys will get some valuable information today that can help you either as an individual or as a small business. So he is, like I said, a local CPA here in Fairfax County. He has his own firm. It's called Intellisource Financial Services. So he provides accounting, tax, and then also kind of runs as a chief financial officer for companies that may need to outsource that to outside their company. And the firm has been here in Fairfax for 16 years, so he has lots of experience. So Brad, thank you so much for joining us today. I know he was a little nervous last night. He goes, I can't talk for 30 minutes. But one of the things we wanted to talk about first is kind of some of the challenges that everyone may be experiencing right now during our the COVID situation. So Brad, you had mentioned some things that you and I talked, earlier in the week, and I wanted to just kind of touch on what are some things that you're seeing that you can recommend to help people right now kind of manage through the financial challenges as well as employment challenges that we're seeing right now.
Well, obviously communication is the key. And if you're a small business owner and you choose not to pay someone, or you're late, or you want to work out a payment plan with them, you need to communicate that with them. I've also found that via a phone call seems to get a little more progress than back and forth with emails. People can make a quick decision on a phone call, and they're less likely to, I found, to make a negative decision, and they're almost not afraid to say no, but you probably have better luck trying to negotiate or trying to push off or move some payments via a phone call. For business owners, the rent's probably the largest expense. A lot of landlords are working with the business owners. I say, just don't go and say, I can't pay. Say, listen, I'll give me a couple months. We'll stretch it out over 6 months. And by the end of the year, you would have gotten all your rent. So the year you'll be whole, but I need a couple months just to, see what's going to happen. I don't know how long this is going to be. Maybe I can pay you next month. Maybe this thing's going to end for me in a couple of weeks. We just need to communicate that with them. And they really have no recourse, landlords. So they don't have to work with you, but they have to do something. They should do something for you.
Right.
Credit cards.
Seems like it would be in their best interest. It seems like to be in their best interest to work with folks, though.
It is, because once this ends, they don't want to have a bunch of empty spaces either.
Right.
So they need to work with you. Credit card companies seem to be working with business owners as well. They're deferring payments. American Express was a big one. They're really working with their clients. You need to contact them. Sometimes there's 2-3 hour waits on the phone, but you got to deal with that.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too, is that there's definitely, I tried calling AT&T, not about a bill, but just in general. And I sat on the phone for an hour and a half. So anywhere you're calling, you can expect that there's going to be a delay, and you just have to prepare and going into that mindset, knowing that's what it's going to bring, but it could then bring some additional help once you go through that.
Yeah, and people that have bank loans or auto loans and things like that, you call the bank. Now it's a little difficult to get a banker, but the banks are willing to push them off a few months as long as you communicate. Listen, times are tough. I need my car. Give me a couple months. You should be aware, though, when they push things off, and mortgage companies will do the same, it may not be the best deal for you. You might push it off, but then there could be fees involved at the end. You're probably not going to get any interest abated. So sometimes if you can afford to pay it, Don't use this rocky time is a way just to push your bills off, especially the mortgage. I think they're pushing, Jolene, you can speak to this better.
Well, and honestly too, about car payments, like you said, if you can't afford it, you definitely want to look into it, because you don't want to go into having your credit ruined during this time as much as possible as well. But keep in mind too, that if you can't afford to pay, to keep paying, like Brad was saying, because if you delay your car payment 3 months, you're paying longer relative to mortgage. Like Brad was saying, it's really up to the servicer when you call them. And how they're going to handle any kind of forbearance on payments. And it could end up where if they're forbearance allowing you to skip 3 months payments, you could have to pay all 3 months that 91st day, which could be challenging as well. So you just really want to understand what that's going to mean for you before you decide to do it. So kind of like what you're saying is, you don't want to do it just because it's available. Mm-hmm. Really make sure you're educated and you know what you're doing and what it's going to mean for you long term before you make some changes like that.
So if I could ask a quick question of both of you guys. So, the mortgage companies and credit card companies and my presumption is auto companies too, they have deferment programs and stuff where, they are deferring it. And I would think that there's a credit suppression portion of that where they're not reporting it to the credit bureaus. So that's my first question, is kind of 1A, is that in fact, do you know if that's going on? And then in terms of, someone trying to, get a home loan or a credit card or some other kind of business loan, for instance, is that going to hurt them in months going forward?
Jolene, do you know? I'm not aware.
Well, from our perspective, from the mortgage side of things, that is something that I recommend to my clients, is that they check with the servicer to make sure that they're not going to be reporting them late. They shouldn't be. But I had clients that did a forbearance last year with the government shutdown, and their servicers ended up reporting them late, because think about, these are large companies and not all the departments communicate with each other the way they should. Right. So they were reporting them late to the credit bureaus, even though they had said they wouldn't be. So then what I'm suggesting is, if you do any of these kind of forbearance with any type of credit, is you want to have a alert on your credit, so you get notified if that does happen, so you can make sure you get it corrected.
That's a good idea.
And so that's what it shouldn't, but it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. So you just want to make sure you're keeping an eye on it, so that if it does, that you get it corrected.
That's a good idea. That's good. So Mike, Brad, excuse me, for question for you really quickly. So what type of clients do you work with? What's the scope of your client base in terms of kind of individual consumers and businesses?
We work with self-employed individuals like realtors, and then we'll have businesses from 10 to 50 employees where there's few owners, and we do individual tax preparation for just what we call them walk-in clients, people that work for the government or have a W-2 job and want a CPA to prepare their taxes. We do that as well. And we do tax work for all the businesses. Pretty much any tax form we will prepare and submit for you.
I don't know if you mentioned this and I missed it, but you do like QuickBooks too, like you do accounting for them where you can manage like payroll and things like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, we manage payroll for clients, as well as we do QuickBooks training and help clients manage their QuickBooks. When I say QuickBooks advertises, you buy QuickBooks and you become an accountant. Well, that's not true. You buy QuickBooks and you're not an accountant. It's an organizing tool. You need some help and some training to get it right. And we provide that to business owners who decide to use QuickBooks.
Very good.
Okay.
Very good. So, taxes, of course, normally you'd be like crazy and you'd be like, I can't talk to you today.
Right. Not going to happen.
Yeah. Because what are we, April 9th? So tell us a little bit, I guess, kind of about taxes, like the situation for federal.
Yeah, the federal moved the 4/15 filing date to July 15th, and you don't have to do anything for that. It's just the old 4/15 is now July 15th. Virginia didn't really move anything. They moved their filing date to July 15th, but they want their money, as in prior years, by May 1st.
Oh.
And if you go past May 1st with Virginia, you can pay June 1st, but you'll pay interest. So
Wow.
June,
Wow.
June 1st is really the last day you can pay Virginia without incurring penalties and interest. May 1st would be when they really want their money and you won't incur any penalties or interest. So your problem is your returns may not be done, but you still owe the money May 1st, and most people aren't going to know how much they owe. Maryland extended to filing July 15th, but they want their money June 1st. So
you could file on July 15th, but if you owe money, you need to do it by June 1st.
correct. And Virginia is May 1st. And
So in Virginia, if you know you don't owe any money, you don't have to file till July 15th. So really, it's like, I mean,
Wow.
It didn't really help too much.
well, Virginia didn't help anything from a cash flow standpoint at all.
No.
And what's happened is people aren't getting their returns processed.
So speaking of that, how are you handling things virtually from your perspective? You know, like I think you had mentioned too, like you don't have to wait till July 15th. So like for me, I've already filed mine, but you know, what does it look like? And how are you able to do things virtually right now in this world?
Well, we've been doing virtual probably a couple of years now. We like to get our information through our secure server. We try to avoid paper. And actually all of our employees are set up to work from home. We do have an office in Fairfax where we sit there and clients do come visit. But we've been doing this for a couple of years during tax season. So this is really not a problem at all.
So it's business as usual for you. So that's
correct. But it's slow though. People are not getting us their tax paperwork that we need to get. They're all just sitting back, July 15th, I'll wait.
Right.
But in many ways, like why not do it now when you have potentially more time because you are at home? I know, I guess sometimes like for me, from my clients, they're like, we don't have a printer, or we don't have things like that. So I guess, could they take pictures of things and be able to upload it into your secure site that way? Or what's some ways
they do
that they could do that?
And like we have a post office box. Some people say, listen, I don't have a scanner, I don't have a printer. All right, drop it in an envelope, send it registered to the PO box in Chantilly. We always never lost a package in 15 years. I'll go pick it up and I'll scan it myself and get it distributed how it needs to get distributed within our company. So
you're still picking up mail, still going and doing that. And so if they don't have the ability to scan, then that's another way that they can get you their information.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Very good. Yeah. I mean, because, you know, like you said, waiting, I think right now we have the opportunity to get things together maybe a little bit better than we may later when the world does get back, you know, and I know there's uncertainty of when that's going to be, but, you know, we also, and it also seems like, I'm sure you guys will be super busy in the summer as opposed to the spring. Right. No holiday.
That's what we're trying to avoid.
Right. So do it now when you aren't so crazy and spread it out a little bit instead of, you know, in one few week time period or a month time period.
Yeah. I mean, taxes aren't on top of many people's lists, even now when they have more time.
About too, small business loans, you know, of course, with the stimulus package, you know, with the CARES Act. Tell me a little bit about that and kind of like what it might mean for people and how they can potentially, you know, take advantage of it.
Well, there's three things. On the personal side, people that don't have a business, there's a $1,200 stimulus per taxpayer, $2,400 per joint, and $500 per child claimed as a dependent on the tax return. You get that for filing a 2018 return. And there are some income limitations. If you get to about 200 jointly, you'll lose that stimulus. If you get 150 married filing separately, you lose it. If you get up to 100 single, you'll lose that. But otherwise, you'll get those checks probably about 3 weeks, they said this morning. Just $1,200 or $2,400 to file joint and $500 per child.
Now, do you know, you said on 2018 return, if they filed 19, will they use the most current or are they only using 18?
They use the most current.
Okay.
So a few people are rushing around to file 19 because they fell under that threshold. So they would.
Yeah. My mom, I was like, wait, she retired this past year. So I was like, you need to get yours in so that you, okay. So as long as it's been filed, they should be using the most recent.
Yes.
Okay.
And then people who don't file, like someone just has Social Security income, they do not need to do anything. They're going to go off the Social Security records. They will get a direct deposit for that. They don't need to, they're not required to file a tax return. They don't have to get this stimulus as well.
If they're getting Social Security at all?
Correct. Yes.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
So it doesn't even matter
wow.
what their combined income would be if they did
Well,
go?
it's probably too low to file an income tax return.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Oh, I see. If that's their
There's-
only income of Social Security
Pretty
and they're not
much,
filing
yeah.
a return. I got
but
you.
they're still going to
Got
get the
it.
stimulus check. They don't have to
Okay.
file anything with the IRS.
Okay.
There's also going to be a portal on the IRS, which is not out there yet. If they don't have direct deposit, they can enter their direct deposit information on the portal. So that 1,200 would get
Oh, good.
direct deposits as opposed to generating a check, which is going to take weeks.
For a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's for
so-
Social Security only.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
When that's their
And
only
so
source
this
of income.
portal is not available yet, but it's going to
Nope.
be coming. Okay. Okay.
Soon.
Okay. All right.
The couple programs out there for businesses, the Paycheck Protection Program, it's kind of like the government's giving out money based on a business's payroll. And these funds are required to be used to maintain your employment base. So once you get the money, you're supposed to rehire your people and keep them on. And then at the end, it's an 8-week program. At the end of 8 weeks or June 30, the amounts can be forgiven to the small business if they use those funds for payroll. Problem is that has not been communicated that well. And I know small business people, they're going to get the money and they're going to use it. I mean, they have other needs. They had to lay off some employees. There's no work for them. They don't need employees now. They're going to use that money for other needs. And then they're going to come up with a loan on the books once they get back to business as normal, which they weren't ready for, which is going to create some problems for some people.
Right.
I mean, that program was advertised, get the money, we'll forgive the loan, but you need to understand, you know, if
The
you get that loan,
stipulations.
correct, you got to pay your employees in like hair salons. They're not working. They're not going to pay their employees. So that loan program is not good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the EIDL program. It's an SBA loan is what it is, emergency disaster loan. And that's more of, you just need money. It's not based for payroll. It's just, you need money to pretty much regenerate your business, marketing efforts, doing something to get it back going again. That's a longer term loan. They don't want you to use that loan to pay payroll. They want you to use the other loan. You can have both, a business can have both those loans. The SBA loan, there's no forgiveness. It terms out, I think, 10 years or longer. It's a 4% rate. It's very good terms. There is some collateral and there's a credit check involved. So it's a little more in-depth. There's also part of that, when you apply for the loan, there's supposed to be a $10,000 immediate cash inflow to the business that's forgivable, whether you take the loan terms or not. But to date,
oh, wow.
a lot of people have applied for this, including myself, and did not get the 10,000. I know no one who got the 10,000.
Really?
I've read on blogs, other accountants, no one's got the 10,000 yet. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. It was written that it was, but we haven't seen anyone get any money there.
And there was no reason given as to why you didn't get the additional, the upfront 10,000? Wow.
I think they had too many people applying. And it's just like, whoa, hang on here. The Paycheck Protection Program, it is working. People are getting funded. I've had clients getting funded now. And now we got to reach out and say, listen, you get this money, make sure you're using it for, you know, employee costs. And if you're not going to, you can give it back to them at no penalty. So that's what people should do if they don't use this money for.
Now, when I was reading some like the guidelines, it said about a sole proprietor who would be, you know, not have employees. Is the loan not, the SBA loan not geared towards sole proprietors? It's only the companies, businesses that actually have employees?
No, sole proprietors, this Friday, they're opening up to sole proprietors.
Oh, okay.
And it's going to be based on 2019, pretty much your financials or a tax return if you filed it. And you need to get with a bank because the banks drive this, not the accountants. The banks will have the application. The banks will ask you specifically what they want to see and they submit to the SBA.
Okay.
So for a sole proprietor, the bank's going to either ask for a financial statement for 2019 or the tax return. That's going to show them how much the sole proprietor made during that year.
Mhm.
And then they'll work it up and they'll remit that to the SBA to get the money for that sole proprietor to get through the next few months.
Okay. And what are the parameters for that loan? Is that going to be forgivable or repay? Like, is there stipulations for that?
That was going to be forgivable, and that's a good thing for a sole proprietor.
Right.
Everyone
Okay.
should do the paycheck protection program if you're a sole proprietor.
Okay. That's good to know.
And the banks that are there a certain set of banks that are cooperating or engaged in that
Almost
loan?
every bank around
Okay.
the tri-state area is engaged.
Okay.
I don't know of any that aren't, that businesses are using around here. But they're
Okay.
you know what, the banks are, it was a lot of stuff put on them rather quickly, so they're fumbling sometimes, and there's
sure.
delays involved, and things are changing daily almost. So the banks have to adapt to that, and it's hard for a bank to adapt to change that quick. So you got to be patient with them.
Well, and you
Yeah.
said that you've seen some get approved for the paycheck
Yep.
with businesses, not the sole proprietor, because obviously that hasn't started. And how
Correct.
long has that process been taking? Have you seen?
Last Friday evening was the first time they were taking applications. Banks were, they finally got, and then people were funded as early as Tuesday.
Wow.
Wow.
Some banks are a lot quicker than others,
Okay.
but you're starting to see a lot of,
Wow.
you get a letter from the SBA saying you've been accepted, you will be funded. You're starting to see that more. The program's definitely moving forward.
That's
It's
good.
a pretty good pace,
I'm shocked
though.
that it happened in that quick a time period.
Yeah, me too.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Everyone was.
yeah, I know. I mean, we know how the government usually works, and that's pretty impressive. So that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was hearing some stuff. I was listening to some financial podcasts over the weekend, and I was hearing stuff that they were struggling on getting the systems online
Oh, yeah.
for people to even, put in their loans and stuff. So that's amazing that it happened that fast for some folks.
Yeah.
We have a colleague, Brad and I do, that works for a local bank, and he was saying they had to do training over the weekend on the system that they have to use.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that they're basically working 24/7, like literally have
Yeah.
shifts, people working overnight, putting in these applications.
Oh
So
my
they are
goodness.
definitely doing everything they can to help people.
There's a manual process to it, as we heard, Joe.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
the banker has to
And, like-
touch some paper to get the process.
Oh my
like that.
goodness.
Yeah. And is it right where once they get approved, then there's documentation they have to sign and then they'll get funded? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, it's a promissory note.
Okay.
You sign the note. It's a 2-year term, so
Okay.
it's kind of daunting because you got to pay it back in 2 years if you don't qualify
Okay.
for forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
So people could spend the money thinking they're going to qualify, then they don't. Then they got a 2-year term loan, which can be unsettling for a lot of small businesses, especially coming out of this time. You need to be careful when you get those
Wow.
proceeds, or even applying, to understand the upside and the downside to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
Because it
really
seems
good.
like, a lot of people right now, I can only imagine that the emotional side of it you want, funds right now in order to kind of cover your expenses and that kind of stuff. But you forget about what that long-term look is on the terms of whatever loan that you're applying for and what that's going to mean for you 3, 4, 6, 12 months from now.
Yeah.
And
And
for
some
the
of the, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Brent.
So some of the smaller business people, S corps or small C corps, the program's available to them as well, but they're also unemployment's available to them. Like in Virginia now, you can get up to $978 a week with the federal. That's a nice nut to utilize if you're drawing a W-2 from your business. And that's rolling out probably next week. The federal is subsidizing the state $600 a week. That's for anyone collecting on Virginia unemployment.
Wow.
So whatever you're collecting, there'll be 600 tapped onto that. And it's retroactive to March 29th.
Wow.
Yeah, that's good. And what
That's
are the,
great.
Brad, is there loan limits like for the small business that started last week and then the sole proprietor, that's starting this week? What are the loan limits? Is it based on their business or how is that working?
Yeah, it's based on for the SBA loan, it's up to 2 million, and you have to be in business like 3 months, February 15th, not that long.
Yeah.
They're probably not going to qualify new businesses like that.
Okay.
Again, that's selective. The Paycheck Protection Program, you would have to be in business, I think, the whole year this year.
The whole year. Okay.
But
Okay.
you have a limited run rate, so you're not going to be eligible for as much. That's limited to $10 million. There's a cap, but that's a very large company that would get that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Awesome.
Well, Tanya, did you have any? Oh, do you want to go over our binge questions?
Our binge questions. So Brad, these are just kind of some fun things that we do when we wrap up each one of our little interviews here, and we just talk about our 3 favorite binge things, since so many of us are at home and we're doing this. Sounds like you do a lot of your business virtually, but
Yeah.
so but anyway, so our first question for you is do you have a favorite binge TV series or movie or something that maybe it's even a podcast or something that you're listening to in order to pass your time right now?
I do. I've been watching one show for the last week and a half. It's called Fast and Loud. It's based out of Texas. It's a car show.
Oh.
Yeah, he does cars and sells them. He goes to auction. There's 15 years of it, about 20 episodes a year. So I'm up to year 7. I watch a lot of times. I'm not paying attention to them, but I've been doing that for 2.5, 3 weeks now.
Yes.
It's still not getting old to me, though. I still enjoy it when I pay attention to it.
I guess you're a car person then.
Yeah, I'm a car person. But I just enjoy this show. I think the actors, they're not actors. It's a reality, but it's very entertaining to me.
What channel is it on?
Discovery.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll have to tell my husband. He would like that show, actually.
Yeah.
We're all getting a little tired of our shows now, so this is why we do this, because we're finding new ideas. Like our guest on Tuesday, she watches, what is it, Guy's Grocery something or whatever?
It's something on the Food Network.
Yes. So it's like they have to go in and like it's guys and they go in and they buy food and then they're challenged to try to make something with it and then they get judged on it. I mean, so we're learning about all these new shows.
I know. With a almost 4-year-old and then working, I'm watching less shows right now because she's home all the time. So I wish I had the time to binge all of it. Yeah. So Brad, what about binge food? Is there a food that you just love eating right now and that you want to have a hard time not eating it?
Like potato chips. I never eat potato chips, but I'm home all the time. And we're getting potato chips. I like them, but you can't stop eating them.
No.
Normally I wouldn't even eat them, but they're good.
Yeah. I look at my husband and I'm like, you're going to eat the whole bag if you don't stop.
Yeah.
So.
I know. Do you have a favorite flavor or just plain
plain potato
salt?
chips. The rest of the family doesn't like it as much, so they stay around for me, which is good.
Yeah. My dad's the same way. He never met a bag of potato chips he didn't like. I mean, he is like tried and true potato chip eater. And then, so Brad, our last question is there a favorite binge activity that you like doing right now that, it helps you kind of settle down at the end of the day or whenever you do it?
Walking the dog. I like walking the dog. Walking them a little too much, I think, but just to get out, I don't take my phone with me.
Yes.
That's good.
A few 20-minute walks a day just to regroup. I enjoy that.
Yeah.
Awesome. We have a dog too, and I was kidding with my kids the other day when we were walking him. I was like, you know what? I think that this is a massive, collaboration of dogs. Like the dog population of the world got together and was like, this is how we're going to get our humans to stay at home, and we get to walk all the time outside is by making them, this pandemic or whatever. Not to make too much light of it, but that was our theory, at least on that particular walk.
Well, it's like a movie, I mean, that's what this is anyway. So now it's an animal movie.
Yes. Yes, that's right. That's exactly right. Secret Life of Pets all over
Exactly. Pandemic.
again. Yeah, that's right. Version. Oh, well, thank you, Brad. I know that we struggled through some technology
It's
glitches.
fine, it's fine.
But this is really awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate
It
it.
was,
Well,
and
thank
great
you. Thank you
information.
both. I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
you know, we'll put a link to, you have a website that we can link,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So we'll put your information so
Yep.
that they can find you if they have any other questions or want to reach out to you about, you know, upcoming taxes and things like that, so they can get that moving forward.
Okay, great.
But it was really valuable
Absolutely.
information, and I hope everyone, you know, I mean, whether or not you're a sole proprietor or a small business, you know, there's help that you could be reaching out, you know, looking into, but you want to know what the stipulations are behind it. So just make sure. And then if you have any kind of concerns economically, like paying bills and things like that, hopefully this helped you with some ideas too. But if you have any questions, reach out to Brad, reach out to us, because we're happy to help you. We want to make sure that you're as educated as possible before you make any kind of financial changes.
Absolutely. And last but not least, join us next Tuesday for our at-home session at 11 a.m. again on Facebook. Hopefully we'll iron out all of our little technical glitches then. And until next time, we hope you guys all have a great day and a fantastic weekend.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.